Where else can you get a brand new luxury car for no money down and low monthly payments? Only at Davenport Auto Park, of course. We're talking new Buicks. Top of the line, king of the hill, pick of the litter, cream of the crop. You get my drift. We're talking Buicks, like the 2015 Encore or Verano, Regal Turbo, LaCrosse, Enclave. No money down, zero, zilch, nada. Yeah, only at Davenport Auto Park.
It's the real deal.
Summer is coming. Get your sun-kissed glow with Totally Used Versa Spa Sunless Tanning System. Versa uses the newest innovative technology to deliver the latest anti-aging, skin-firming, super hydrating blend of soothing botanicals with every application.
The machine sprays you. You don't have somebody else doing it. It's private and it is so safe. Try it. You will love it.
And Totally You also offers red light collagen therapy. Stop by and see us at the shops at Stony Creek on Zebulon Road, Wednesdays through Fridays from 1 to 6 for a completely safe, sunless tanning experience. Visit Totally You today and let them transform your skin into a stunning beach glow.
The Strawberry Patch is family-owned by the Tim Fisher family, and they invite you and your family to come and pick some of the largest strawberries you've ever seen. It's a fun place with fresh-picked strawberries, fresh and ready to go, or if you want to save some money, you can pick them yourself. It's fun and good exercise. Load up the kids. They can be farmers for the day. You can always call 442-6235 for more information.
And so come on out to the Fisher Farm, the Strawberry Patch, and you will be glad you did.
Hello, welcome to the Chamber Buzz on Education. I'm Cindy Bennett, Executive Director of STEP, the Strategic Twin Counties Educational Partnership. I have with me today Robin May and Valerie Bridges. Our topic, literacy. We're talking today about literacy, and I have with me Valerie and Robin. And so I'd like to begin by saying, first of all, thank you to both of you for the work that you do in our public school districts here in the Twin Counties and the support you give to all of our students. But as we focus on our topic today of literacy, I'll begin with you, Valerie. How do you define literacy?
For educational purposes, literacy is the ability to read and write. But it's also the ability to use information to build capacity for students and build capacity in life. And so in EdgeCombe, we look at literacy kind of as a balanced literacy approach. We look at phonemic awareness, we look at vocabulary, we look at the ability to read and write, but also the ability to comprehend. Because if I can read and write, but I can't comprehend what's going on, it's not going to advance me. So we really look at that, and we use lots of programs to determine where our kids are. And guided reading, balanced literacy is one of the main focuses that we use in EdgeCombe. Okay,
thank you. So literacy being the ability to read, to write, to speak, to listen, to comprehend, to understand. Robin, when you're speaking in Nash Public Schools with, let's say, beginning teachers or with other staff members, and you're talking about literacy, is your definition very similar, or how might you explain literacy?
Our definition is very similar to what Valerie just shared. And, you know, when we think about literacy, we do think about all those components of literacy: being able to read, being able to comprehend what you have read, and then being able to write about it and to speak to others about what you have read and your comprehension of that text. And we really stress in Nash Rocky Mount that balanced literacy approach is important. And it's also important that every teacher see themselves as a literacy teacher. It's not just our English teachers that should focus on those literacy skills. Those literacy skills should be embedded across all content areas. We have adopted the guided reading approach in Nash Rocky Mount as well, and I think that approach is very critical because it exposes students to the text at the level of which they are proficient at and builds their skills from there.
You know, you mentioned level of text and meeting students where they are. The General Assembly and North Carolina Department of Public Instruction recently released the NC School report cards for data from last year. And while we're used to getting proficiency rates, in other words, a number of students or the percent of students who are reading on grade level every year, we've been getting that for some time with our end of grade results. We now this year have a letter grade attached to schools, and that's a little confusing to our community, and while it would take us an hour or more to fully explain how all of that is calculated, if I could just ask each of you, how do you think we rate in your educational community, whether it's Edgecombe or Nash? How are we doing when it comes to literacy? And our first marker for that, truly for the state level, would be grade 3. So Valerie, how do you feel, you and Superintendent Farley and the other folks who work in Edgecombe, how do you feel about your current status of literacy for grade 3 students?
As far as a rating for us, we felt like it was a new testing process, new information, new curriculum, but we're in a work in progress. We need to improve. We want to continue to grow. So we saw gains from individual students. We saw gains with individual teachers. And so that's kind of where we're focusing. How can we get better? So as Robin mentioned, literacy is not just for the ELA or the reading teacher. Literacy is for every discipline, and so that's a focus for us to make sure that all of our teachers can help with that component. So we've used Heal Center to help all teachers, not just the ELA teacher, those basic phonics skills to help teachers who've maybe not taught reading. How do I help students to decode? How do I help students to comprehend? So that our push for literacy is not just going to be in a 60-minute block of classroom time. It has to be throughout the school day. So for us, as far as a rating, we're looking at this is our baseline, and where do we go from here? How do we improve? What kind of things do we need to make sure that all of our staff and all of our students experience in Edgecombe?
Thank you, and I think that's an excellent way to look at it. Robin, what about in Nash?
I think the key metric that we look at when we look at measuring where we are with literacy is growth. You know, as you said, the school performance grades can be quite confusing because they encompass proficiency and growth. What we focus on is taking each child where they are when they come to us at the beginning of the year and ensuring that they are showing growth with those literacy components, that they are reading at a higher level, comprehending at a higher level when they leave us than they were when we arrived. And we have that focus by training our teachers specifically to differentiate instruction for the varied levels of students that they have in their classrooms.
And I think what both of you said is very important. Having taught school for a long time and worked in other areas of education, it's so important that we first know where our students are when they come to us. You know, in education, it's very different from manufacturing. We can't bring in the raw materials and say, well, we'll keep this and we'll send this away. We're very honored at the job that we do every day and having the opportunity to work with students. But we take them where they are, and then we ensure that they're growing. I think that, as you both have so clearly stated, is so important to our work, and that's what we're doing. We recognize the opportunities, and we're trying to identify what we can do to support the students as they arrive at our door. And that really takes us to kindergarten. You know, years ago when kindergarten first started, and even 20 years ago or 10 years ago or 5 years ago, the expectations for being ready for kindergarten now are very different than they were then. You know, with new standards that our state has adopted, the Common Core standards, we really have higher expectations for all learners. And that begins when our students join us on day one of kindergarten. So what are we doing in our community to ensure that our students are ready for kindergarten? And if we could just sort of begin some basic conversation, what are some of the expectations for kindergarten students? Robin, just share with us a few of your insights on what it means to be kindergarten ready and and what some of those expectations are, please.
Well, when I think about kindergarten readiness, I think the most critical thing is that children at a very young age are exposed to print resources. One of the greatest things is for students to hear a fluent reader read to them. And then also I think parents can take advantage of environmental print that is around, finding different letters on the cereal box in the morning, or as you're driving down the road, having your students identify letters as you drive down the road. Because for kindergarten students, it really is about beginning to identify the letters, associating that each of those letters has a sound, and that those sounds together make words, which then become the text that we learn from. And so I just think the most critical thing is being exposed to a variety of texts, and parents being excited about reading. I think if we can really get our students excited about reading, ensure that they look at reading as something that is fun and engaging, then that is kind of half the battle of having them kindergarten ready.
Good, excellent suggestions as well. Valerie, when you're meeting with parents and say community meetings or your kindergarten registration process, which will start very soon, what are some things that you share with parents, or even maybe daycare or child care, I should say, staff? What does it mean to be kindergarten ready? And all parents want their children to do the very best that they possibly can. So what are some things, hints that you might share with them, or insights about what it means to be kindergarten
Certainly.
ready?
Some of the same things that Robin has shared.
Sure.
The acknowledgement that a letter represents a sound, that we're excited about learning, that learning's fun, sharing with them about stories, reading to them aloud, showing parents how to read and kind of how to ask questions of students.
Right.
So that we're just not reading, we're having a good time, but then let's talk about some of the characters in the story, and then connecting those to things that have happened to us in life and things that we can connect to. That leaves a memory for a child, and then they kind of have those real life connections. Sharing with parents their ways that when we're, say, in the grocery store or in Walmart, about counting and thinking about things, talking about colors, talking about shapes, how we can use shapes to make a man or a woman, just to get them thinking outside of necessarily the daycare or preschool mode, but thinking a little bit, we're going to stretch outside and you're going to go to school with some older kids, and these are things that we do. Listening to directions and following those directions, and being able to share with others, and working together as a team. So those types of things make the transition easy, whether you're coming from home or if you're coming from daycare to transition into kindergarten.
Great examples and opportunities for all of us listening to use with the children that we work with. So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll come back and continue to talk about literacy, what it means to prepare our kids to begin school. Welcome back. We'll continue our conversation with Robin and Valerie about literacy in the Twin Counties area and some of the opportunities and resources that we're using in our public schools to encourage and develop literate students when they join us in kindergarten. Kindergarten expectations, as we've said, are very different than they were in the past. Kindergarten teachers and those working with young learners are expected to support students in their ability to learn to read, to learn to speak, and to write, and to be good listeners as well. And all of that's involved with and develops strategic thinking, which is very important throughout the elementary, middle, and secondary years as students are growing. As we've said, parents really want to ensure that their kids are ready when they go to school. While literacy is very important, it isn't taught in isolation. Oftentimes we'll hear folks say, well, I'm not good at math, so let's don't do math. But we also are hearing more and more and noticing more and more of students who are saying, I don't know how to read, or I can't read, so I'm choosing not to read. So what are some resources or supports or skill development that we could offer to our community and where might they gain these skills to help them know what to do with young children. And by that I mean, it's more than just telling them when they can register their child for kindergarten, but you've shared some very specific things, but maybe pinpoint a content standard or an expectation and look right into the camera and it's as put your teacher hat back on, and as if we're talking to our parents and our community members, if this is an expectation, what are some things that they might do to help develop that in their child, the children they work with, maybe in their community of faith or in an after-school program. So, Robin, do you mind beginning? Just thinking of a standard that is expected for a student in kindergarten to be able to accomplish. How might a parent help that child develop that skill?
So one of the first things when I think about kindergarten readiness, one of the first things I think about are learning the sight words. So,
Robin, may I interrupt? What are sight words? Because, I have my first child in school and I have no clue what sight words are, but the teacher's talking to me about sight words. Could you give me a little more information?
So sight words are words that appear often in our written language, like a and the, and that. And there's a list of sight words that kindergarten students are expected to know by the end of kindergarten. So in Nash Rocky Mount, all of our elementary schools, along with the kindergarten registration, we also have what we call transition nights, where families can go to the school and get some information from their teachers about resources that they can work on over the summer to ensure that their children are ready for kindergarten. So sight words are one of the things that we will be distributing during those kindergarten transition nights. So, at church, at the breakfast table, riding down the road, just playing games with your children to see, okay, let's see how many A's we can find today, or let's see how many thes we can find today. And making that fun, and you can, choose one sight word a week or 2 sight words a week, and then kind of build as you go throughout the summer, and your child could easily go to kindergarten knowing 10 of those sight words already. And that will really make them feel like they are successful from day one.
Exactly. Thank you, Robin. Excellent example, and something very simple that as parents or other community members we could do. Valerie.
Great. I'd like to piggyback off what
Sure.
Robin has said about sight words and word walls that you often will see in elementary school, but in Edgecombe, we believe word walls are not just for the classroom. So you could create a word wall at home, and as a parent, that's something that I did. Robin mentioned sight words, so for sight words, you could also create a sight word bingo, and that'd be fun for kids. I'm hearing the word, and then I've got to be able to identify it on my bingo chart. And then we have little prizes that you win. That gets kids excited about learning. It focuses in on these are important words, and they are. You're going to see them in almost any sentence that you have. You're going to see basic sight words. So that gets kids involved, that gets the parent involved. So even as a parent, you don't have to have the chart paper that teachers have. You can use sticky notes. You can take a piece of notebook paper and you can cut it into little squares and make you some sight words, and you can match your sight words. So you can kind of play the matching game or Old Maid with your sight words and have fun with it. So kids will see this is something I'm learning, but I'm also enjoying myself and I'm having a good time. And then when you see them, say if you're reading with them, they can identify those sight words. They can, there's the. So then they get excited about that and knowing something and kind of that sense of ownership.
Thank you. And that was kind of off the cuff for both of you, putting your teacher hats back on. Thank you for doing that. And as parents and community members, it's so important for us to constantly be aware of the importance of having text in front of our kids, whether it's informational text or whether it's a story that we might read. Tell us, share with us, please, any other resources that you might have available in your school districts.
Well, I think the greatest resource when we're looking at literacy is just that exposure to text. So I think the local library, or connecting with your school library. If you have a student who is scheduled to go to Benvenue Elementary next year, when you go to that kindergarten transition event, going ahead and making some connections with the media center there, so that you may have access to the resources that the school has available throughout the summer to ensure that your child is kindergarten ready. One other great resource that we have just gotten in Nash Rocky Mount this year for students, but this is once they begin kindergarten, for our kindergarten through 5th grade students, we have a program available that is called iReady, which offers individualized lessons for all students in grades kindergarten through 5th grade for reading and math. So it does exactly what we talked about earlier. It gives the students an assessment, assesses where their strengths are, where their areas of need are, and then builds out a program that is individualized to help them make the growth that they need in reading and math. There's also an app available through iReady that helps build vocabulary, and that is something that is free on the App Store and something that children can take advantage of throughout the summer prior to beginning kindergarten.
Thank you. Wonderful opportunities. Valerie, what about in Edgecombe?
The public library, wonderful resource, so many opportunities there, and media specialists are always excited for students and parents to come in, to listen to story time, to check out books. They'll help you find books if you have certain topics that you want, and of course our school librarians are excited about that. Also, there are lots of online resources that are covered by the school, but you can access them at home for free. Brain Pop Junior is one that we love to use. Students get excited about that. It's animated. It's something that's K through 12, but of course specializing probably elementary and middle grades a little heavier than the high school grades. And then our literacy coaches in our elementary schools provide lots of make it and take it for parents, so that things that they can try and do with parents over the summer, just little activities and little fun things that they can work with kids on. And then Down East Partnership for Children, they have great resources and provide lots of things for parents to help students with literacy, so that there's not that slide during the summer that often happens when kids are not in school on a regular basis. So that's an opportunity as well.
Well, ladies, thank you so much for being with us today and sharing the wonderful things that both school districts are doing as it relates to literacy. And to our community, it's important that we as a group work together to enhance the literacy rates here in the Twin County areas. We've recognized there are opportunities for improvement. The schools are certainly working fast and furiously to enhance the skills of students. But one of the things that we could do together is make sure that our students are ready for kindergarten. So we look forward to you volunteering with our schools. Please feel free to contact the schools if that's something you would like to do. And again, thank you for sharing with us today from Nash Rocky Mount and Edgecombe County Public Schools.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Where else can you get a brand new luxury car for no money down and low monthly payments? Only at Davenport Auto Park, of course. We're talking new Buicks. Top of the line, king of the hill, pick of the litter, cream of the crop. You get my drift. We're talking Buicks like the 2015 Encore or Verano, Regal Turbo, LaCrosse, Enclave. No money down, zero, zilch, nada. Yeah, only at Davenport Auto Park.
It's the real deal.
Summer is coming. Get your sun-kissed glow with totally used Versa Spa Sunless Tanning System. Versa uses the newest innovative technology to deliver the latest anti-aging, skin-firming, super hydrating blend of soothing botanicals with every application.
The machine sprays you. You don't have somebody else doing it. It's private and it is so safe. Try it. You will love it.
And Totally You also offers red light collagen therapy. Stop by and see us at the shops at Stony Creek on Zebulon Road, Wednesdays through Fridays from 1 to 6 for a completely safe, sunless tanning experience. Visit Totally You today and let them transform your skin into a stunning beach glow.
The Strawberry Patch is family owned by the Tim Fisher family, and they invite you and your family to come and pick some of the largest strawberries you've ever seen. It's a fun place with fresh picked strawberries, fresh and ready to go, or if you want to save some money, you can pick them yourself. It's fun and good exercise. Load up the kids. They can be farmers for the day. You can always call 442-6235 for more information.
And so come on out to the Fisher Farm, the Strawberry Patch, and you will be glad you did.